In the case of speech, of course, in the case also of animal vocalization, the main source of sound energy is the coordination of the respiratory and the laryngeal subsystems. Here at top left, you can see the movement of the muscles for breathing for a speech. You can see the movement of the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles as well. And these muscles in the active phase are responsible for the inhalation phase of respiration for speech. As you can see here in these ellipses, the inhalation for the speech is much deeper than inhalation for normal breathing at the left. And this ensures the maintenance, the activity of the muscles. You can see here also the activity of the abdomen ensures the maintenance of the subglottal pressure sufficient for a long phase of expiration where the majority of the sounds of the language are made. The flow of air that expirates and crosses the vocal folds that you can see here, bottom right, generates this kind of signal, which is very asymmetric, which explains the harmonics of this kind of energy. As you can see here, this is the closing phase of the signal, which is very fast, and this is the opening phase, which is much slower than the closing phase due to different forces acting across the vocal folds. After crossing the vocal folds, the air flows through the vocal tract, which acts as a filter. Here at the right, you can see the main positions where the approximation of the active articulator towards the passive articulator produces also other sources of energy like turbulent air for plosives and fricatives. At the left, you can see fMRI image, video showing the movement of the tongue, the velum, the lips, and also the larynx. The kind of modification ensured by the filter, which is the activity of the function of the vocal tract, which is responsible for generating what are called formants and unformants. Formants are the regions where the energy is intensified, and unformants the regions where the energy is absorbed because it's trapped in some part of the vocal tract cannot flow through the lips. The speech signal explained since the acoustic theory of speech production by Gunnar Fant in the 60s by the application of this energy, either a voiced source or unvoiced source that can be flowed through the vocal tract separated or in combination, and this sound energy flows through the vocal tract, which acts as a filter to produce the speech signal. I have here some illustration. This is the spectrum of the vocal folds, and this is the spectrum at the lips. Then this spectrum is produced, as I said, by at the region of the vocal folds. It sounds like this. And after crossing the vocal tract, depending on the configuration of the articulators, produces a completely different sounds. Here is an illustration of the vowel sounds. Here you have at the middle a configuration for the E. Here you have configuration for the A. And here configuration for the U. And this configuration can be produced just by moving the articulators. For U, the tongue is at the posterior part of the vocal tract. For E, all this tony body at the front part, and for A at the pharyngeal part and very low in the vocal tract. Since the 1940s, with the construction, the building of the spectrograph, we can see the components, the frequency components and the activity both of the vocal folds and the vocal tract